Welcome back, everyone, to From Pain Point to On Point. I'm Britt, your host, and today I have my absolute fave, Ken Abel, sales director at Trailstone Insurance. Welcome back to the pod, Ken. I love being able to say
Yeah,
that. How are you
yeah.
today?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me again. I'm really excited. I had so much fun on the last one, and that I'm passionate about motivation, but I'm also passionate about technology and AI. So I'm glad you asked me to be on another one.
I'm so happy to have you here again. I feel like our last combo was so fun and like we really got into the weeds on things. And it was just kind of like right at the end, we just got like a little taste of AI, like you were talking about your AI recording assistant. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do this again. We have to have a whole conversation about AI.
Right, right. Because the world is changing,
The
and
world
we
is
got to
changing
adapt with it.
rapidly. And I'm really excited to talk to you about it because I think specifically when talking about the insurance industry, it is, it's going to be pretty massive for a lot of these industries, I think, that are like maybe a little bit slower on the pickup with when it comes to technology and still kind of,
Hmm.
you know, maybe they're not the industries in which the tech world is really catering.
Right,
I think that's like
right.
another
The more
element here.
established ones, yeah.
But before we start like really deep diving into AI, I kind of want to show my hands the podcast host. I want to kind of lay some foundation here and just kind of get your thoughts on a couple of other things as we kind of breadcrumb down the AI. The
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do it.
So I want to ask you in insurance, agents they're struggling with a lot of different things. They're doing a bunch of different things, right? They're prospecting, they are, reaching out and trying to renew contracts, they're trying to upsell contracts, they're trying to expand contracts. What are some of the biggest performance challenges that you see for sales teams today?
Yep. So I can really only speak for my own team, right? But our biggest challenge, and that's an interesting question. I think it's always evolving and changing, and we have to be on top of that. So what's the biggest challenge today is what I want to specify. For me, it's removing the friction off their plate to make their sales process as frictionless as possible. And I only want my team getting on the phone, building relationships, and collecting payment information. That's the only thing that they should be doing. Anything else is not an ideal utilization of their efforts. So
Yeah,
how do we make that happen? That's the challenge.
that it, that is a challenge. And
Right.
I wonder how we'll fix it. Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that that's something that our teams in sales screen also struggle with is, one of our sellers, Harry, who is the best, but you know, he was saying to me not too long ago, like, the absolute best use of my time is to just be talking to customers, talking to
Exactly.
prospects, being on the phone. That is the absolute best use of my time.
Exactly.
And in these industries like insurance and real estate and the like, there's so much admin. There's so much work that goes into
Yeah.
even leading up to that phone call, let
Right. They're
alone what
heavily
comes after.
regulated industries. Lots of paperwork involved.
Yeah, so much paperwork. I want to talk about retention and cross-selling, and we know that those, I mean, it's critical in any industry. But it's very critical in industries like insurance, that's so relationship driven. How do you motivate your agents to focus on those areas versus just going after new business?
Well, for us, we do things a little bit differently. There might be other insurance agencies out there that are similar to ours, but more of the smaller independent agencies, the agent does do everything. So I definitely see that as a challenge. You got to spend time chasing that new business, but also maintaining the current clients that you have. For us, we segment our work. So we have a sales team and a service team. So our sales team doesn't necessarily need to actively cross sell their current book of business and their current clients. Our service team can handle that. And the whole reason we did that is to allow them to focus on that new business side because we want them to grow their book as fast as possible. And that's one of the challenges that you have in insurance, right? Is all that extra work and follow-ups and documentation and all that and cross sells and everything. Taking it off their plate and having somebody who's that's their role is to do that for them has worked out very well for us.
Yeah, nice. And so if if we were to or to just dive into it. How do you see AI helping in that regard specifically? But then I think on the broader spectrum, how do you see AI really impacting the insurance sales industry? I know, kind of two big
That's a
questions that
lot. That's a
I
lot,
know it's kind of
right?
a lot. I'm sorry. You can handle it, Ken. You can do this. I know it.
If we think about just AI and the insurance industry, there's so many areas where it can help us out. We're seeing it not only on the front lines with agents using AI to send out emails, respond to emails, where you seeing the higher level managers who are using it for analytics and data, and then we're seeing the carriers themselves use it for kind of similar things, but not to customer facing, but to agency facing. I'm seeing data and analytics as the starting point because very time it's exhausting to put all that time and effort into creating all those reports when AI can do it for you in seconds, right? Or
Mhm.
it's just always there for you. So we're seeing that as the start. But from there, who knows where we're going in the insurance industry again. We're using it for, well, our agency is using it for customer outreach, policy reviews, just being able to take a look at this policy and take a look at this policy and say, what's the difference? Where are their gaps? So we're using it as a coverage analysis tool as well.
Mm.
I can't even comprehend all the different things we're using it for right now.
Yeah.
Gamification, using it with sales screen. For me personally, like I mentioned in the last one, I'm using it for day-to-day recording, not only
Yeah.
for you know HR purposes, but just for remembering things in life and reflecting back on everything that happened and finding key moments in your day or your week that could help you get better the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. The advent of AI brings about so many different elements to consider, and I think the starting point of AI being around data and surfacing data and analyzing data and providing insights on your data, all of that type of stuff. That makes a ton of sense to me. I think that that's like it's a place that can very easily be overlooked when you don't have a ton of time on your hands, where you can just take, like, top line numbers and, like, call it a day, and, like, that's what we're working off of, as opposed to drilling into that and being curious about what's bringing those numbers to the surface, right? So, that makes a ton of sense, but I think one thing that we've seen just in the very short time that we've been using AI, because really it's only been, I mean, what? I would say 2 years, maybe a year and a half, where like AI has really been in the forefront of every industry, right? Where it's
Right.
just been like every headline. And one thing that people have gotten increasingly better at over this very short period of time is recognizing when you're reading something that's written by a bot. When you're starting to when you're starting to as AI is evolving and it's getting a lot better, we as humans are also getting a lot better at being able to figure out like what's real and what's fake. So I want to touch upon what you said about your teams using it for outreach, and how are you and your team maintaining that human element and maintaining that kind of human connection with their customers and with their prospects while still like taking advantage of AI for tasks that are like a little bit menial.
Yeah. The key is keeping that human involved. You can't just replace a human with AI. I'm sure there'll be certain roles and responsibilities that AI can do that. But especially when you're interacting with another human, you need to have oversight. You can't just like you were just saying all the everybody using it and we're all spotting it now that nothing drives me more crazy than seeing the questions posted on LinkedIn and then all the answers that are literally just copying the question, put it in chat GPT and posting the answer. Like
Mhm.
it's like you said, it's super obvious and it drives me crazy. You got to get somebody in there to analyze it. Is it even accurate? It makes stuff up still. It's not 100% accurate, but making it more customized to the customer.
Mhm.
Like you might have had that conversation. You know what this customer wants and needs, and you have your own unique way of communicating with people. So you can use that AI conversation as a starting point, but you really got to get in there and make those adjustments and have that oversight. before you send it out to somebody, because like you said, they will pick it up in a heartbeat if you don't. It's
Yeah.
super obvious.
Yeah, it's so true. The LinkedIn posts and stuff like it's and it, you know, to in total fairness, it's the perfect application of AI, right? Like a LinkedIn post is like the perfect, like, you know, you're just trying to get some content out, you're just trying to get a little thought leadership out, like it's the perfect way to use it. But, you know, you read it and you're immediately like, oh yeah, okay. So
Yep.
ChatGPT wrote this, got it.
It's interesting. I think the human psyche is going to develop a little different because of this. We're going to see somebody posting this AI post or response, and we're immediately going to disregard them because it's invalid, irrelevant. Where then we see somebody else who has more thoughtful answer. Now they're going to be a more of an authority figure on that subject because it wasn't just pure AI. Could have started with AI, but at least they're involved.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's interesting because it's like wonder like there's so many things to talk about when it comes to AI, but like the impact of AI on professionalism, right? So like you can, you know, I think so many of us, all of us have, you know, we've gone to school, we've done all of our, you know, we've done our homework, we've written our papers, we've, you know, whatever. And we grew up within these professional industries and we learned how to be professionals through that experience. And then AI comes along and AI is mimicking that professionalism, mimicking that language, that cadence, that how questions are being posed, you know, all of that type of stuff. You put it on LinkedIn and people immediately can tell like this isn't written by a human. So the way to kind of like game that system is to be even more human, to be even more like to be almost even more unpolished and unprofessional in that way. Like, you know, slang words and like run on sentences and like, you know, all of that type of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So it's like it's almost like I'm interested to see how like the professional industries kind of evolve and like what they find or what they consider to be authentic as like AI has kind of, you know, just turned into these like little professional robots,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
But it's so interesting. Like there's so many different applications for this and there's so many different ways that this can impact industries, even in like the most menial way, like the most base level way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and then like people try to speculate, well, is it worth it? Should we dive in? Yeah, of course. Where's it going to be in a year, 3, 5 years? We we literally don't know. There's no way of forecasting what it's going to be in 5 years because what you think what might happen in 5 years could happen in 6 months. You just don't know with the way things are evolving so quickly.
It's going so fast. It's going so fast. It's really it's I mean, I think about we Salescreen launched our AI product and I think about what it was when we first started working on it. And we had such a hard time kind of pinning down a release date for this because every day it's changing. Every day the models are changing. Every day the
Mhm.
models are being updated. And so it's like, what is an MVP for for an AI product? Like what determines that? Because there's so much iteration and it's moving so quickly. I mean, literally from January to now, a complete 180 and like what it can do and the way that it works. It's insane.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
really
Yeah.
crazy.
And I think that's what's going to differentiate in any industry. It's going to differentiate those that succeed moving forward the next 5, 10 years, and those that either get left behind or put out of business is the ones that they understand that AI is changing. They're embracing it and learning it, but they're launching it. Like you have this AI tool and yeah, it's changing and changing. It's always going to change. Launch what you have and then update it regularly and monitor it
Mhm.
and stay on top of whatever happens next. That's
Yeah,
all we can do.
yeah. How important is it, do you think, for the insurance industry to adopt AI technology?
I think you alluded to it earlier. Insurance is one of those ancient technologies like the medical industry. And even we bought a car recently and they still have, 5,000 pages to sign. And housing industry, there's still all these low tech paper industries and insurance is still one of them. So to be able to come in and embrace technology and AI specifically going to, and it already is changing the industry. It's flipping it upside down, and I don't want to say revolutionizing insurance. Insurance is still the transfer of risk, but it's revolutionizing the way we manage that risk.
Yeah.
A lot of carriers, insurance carriers now, they are analyzing whether or not they want to accept that risk with AI technology. They'll have a satellite image taking a view of a home, and then the AI will filter that out immediately if it doesn't meet their requirements, or if it does, then it pushes it along to a human to review. So already just one small thing like that is a big change for these type of industries that everything was by hand just 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like within our lifetimes, everything was
Uh-huh.
like by hand, filed, fax, like just as old school as you can get.
Yeah, even like for a business to go and pull all their records and analyze their history and all that, AI can have that done for you in an instant and generate a report and give you your recommendations, and it just frees you up to do more, to have a better conversation with that business owner or that customer, and really just understand them better. It actually brings in more humanity into the picture because humans aren't spending all their time with that data entry or simple tasks.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that that's how we talk about Scout and Sales Screen, which is that like, there's a lot of fear, and I think it's fair. I think that it's really fair fear that AI is going to replace people because I think the truth of the matter is that it will. Oh, at some point, yes, it will, because even if AI is not taking over a specific role in its entirety, even if it is just supplementing, you won't need as big of a staff to handle however many cases or listings or whatever, because those agents are going to have significantly more time to be able to talk to more people because that admin work is kind of being handled in the background.
Hmm.
And that's just gonna eliminate headcount like one way or another. But I think the really important thing is ensuring that AI isn't going to come in and that's just how we all interface now. Like we all just interface with robots and we don't ever talk to another human again and we don't
Hmm.
engage with humans anymore. It really should be there to support so, to support these roles and to support these industries and to support our customers, right? Like to support them getting what they need faster, more reliably, all of that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the companies that try to take the human out completely and force their customers to only work with AI.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
we're gonna see how that goes. I'm agreeing with you 100%. Like if you go down that route, it's
Mhm.
it's not gonna it's not gonna work. I think
Well, I mean, you think
people
about it
know.
just with when like you go into a website or you call up a hotline and you want to talk to somebody and you're just like and it's just a constant like with an AI chatbot or with like an AI
Hmm.
person on the phone and you're like zero zero like I just want to get to a person.
Right. It's going to take a culture shift to actually work with AI because you might be calling, like in insurance, you might be calling to update your payment information. And
Hmm.
AI can do that. A human doesn't need to do that. But us at our culture needs to understand that it's okay for an AI to do that.
Yeah.
I can give it this new vehicle that I need to replace. I can give it the new VIN and get my vehicle replaced without a human ever taking a look at anything. But again, we still need that human element there. We need that human oversight because AI will make mistakes for the foreseeable future. Maybe at some point in time it'll be good enough or aware enough to recognize its own mistakes. That would be interesting. But until we get to that point, we have to have humans involved to monitor everything. So, like you said, replacing jobs. Yeah, I just think it's going to replace tasks.
Yeah.
And if you have quality people on your team, you can allow them to do other things. You don't have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
necessarily like get rid of that person completely.
Yeah.
But I agree, there will be certain roles, if you have certain very specific roles that can be replaced with AI, that more than likely is going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that, we're gonna see a lot of flux happening, I think, right? Because to your point, I think there are gonna be companies that are going to replace roles in their entirety, and we're going to see
Hmm.
kind of how that works for them. And I think that you and I both can agree that like that's probably not going to be great. Like maybe don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I really do see, and I mean, I think, and this can go down a completely different road, which I know my boss Olga would not want me to take it down, which is capitalism. But when you're always kind of driving the bottom line, right? When you're always kind of like when you're focused on ROI, when you're focused on revenue constantly, there is this like there's something very enticing about being like, oh, I'm not going to have to pay anyone anything. I can just
Right.
have them do this and it'll be fine. But I think especially in roles like in industries like the insurance industry, there's such a need for human touch. And I don't even necessarily mean that in the way of relationship building, although that's massively important. I think that there is, while humans can make mistakes, like there has to be human oversight in these things.
Hmm.
And I think, kind of like my next question to you would be, how do you feel or how do you imagine AI impacting the insurance industry when it's such a sensitive industry? And if there are errors made, you know, because claims are rejected automatically because of AI or whatever the case, or,
Hmm.
things are updated when they shouldn't be updated or, those types of things. How do we maintain the accuracy from our side for for customers when we're
Hmm.
implementing AI more and more?
Yeah, I have two thoughts. One, as we implement the AI into the system to do a specific task, you have to have guardrails in place, and you have to have, again, that human oversight to ensure that task is being done correctly. If you
Mhm.
just, let's say we wanted this AI agent to completely replace a sales agent and do everything from A to Z, it's too much and there's too many variables in place for error, and it's gonna make mistakes and issue policies when it shouldn't or cancel policies when it shouldn't. And you might never know if you don't have a human involved. But if you bring it in slowly, relatively slowly, and you have it do one small task at a time, and you can ensure that it can achieve that task 100% without failure, with the guardrails always in place, then you implement another task, and then you implement another task.
Mhm.
Shortly, it will be able to do everything that you dreamed of that it can do and do it well without so many mistakes. But I am still a firm believer that you should always have that human oversight, especially when it comes to something like insurance.
Yeah.
The other thing I think using AI as a tool is it can't replace the human in the sense of maybe it's not relationships like you said, but it can't replace that conversation and that understanding of what's important to them. So when we get a new prospect that comes in reaching out for insurance, I can get them a quote and I could issue them a policy without ever talking to them. But that's not the point. It's what is important to this individual. Why are they reaching out for help with their insurance in the first place? What do they value about insurance? What do they even understand about insurance?
Yeah.
AI isn't going to pick up on that because AI is going to have set parameters in place to take down the information and get the policy in place for that customer. But a human can take down that information, make some adjustments, give them a few options based on their needs. But that human can use those AI tools to do it 10 times faster than if they didn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good point that I think we talk about this a lot in sales screen where, customers have become so much smarter. They have so many more tools to them now, available to them now. They can go on websites, they can read through websites, they can go to review sites and read through reviews. They can compare carriers, they can, there's a lot more is it's not just about selling a policy or selling through something. The role of a salesperson, especially now, like in 2025, is to almost be kind of like a doctor, right? Come in and kind of like diagnose the problem. Like what's the issue that we're having here? And then what can I recommend that's tailored to your problem to help solve it, right? And
That's
there's this
very
like,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, there's
I
like this
I relate
educational
I relate
element.
insurance to the medical field quite a bit.
Yeah.
I use that analogy a lot, and it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
you don't call your doctor and say, I just give me the cheapest, surgery you got. That's not how it works. In insurance, your customers, they might initially reach out wanting the cheapest insurance, but that's probably not what they want. Once you educate them and explain to them the importance of a particular coverage that they might not have had or didn't know they needed, it gives them that better understanding that it is worth a few dollars more to have something.
Yeah, totally. I think there's an educational element that's a huge, huge, huge part of the sales process. And it's not just educating, it's educating on, obviously what your product is and what your product can do and the best way to use your product and all of that. But it's
Hmm.
also being that kind of like trusted advisor that is like, I'm an expert in my field. I know what I'm talking about. You're coming to me and you have this problem. Let me take a look at this and like dive in deeper and get a better understanding, because maybe what you think as like a layman is not actually what's going on. Right? Like
Hmm.
you may think that you need this, but in actuality what you really need is this. And that's like just something that I can't imagine that would ever be replaced within sales.
I don't foresee it happening. And again, the companies that try to replace that with an AI, we'll see how successful they can be. I just don't know. I'm with you. I think you have to have that human element. But again, we love to fully embrace AI and use it as a tool to to get that customer whatever they need right now
Yeah.
versus in a week or a few days
Yeah.
or a few hours even.
Yeah. Being able to work more effectively and faster is
Hmm.
going to be huge.
So you said earlier, the business owner has that lovely idea of we could just not have that overhead cost of a human sitting in the seat and AI can do it free of charge, essentially. I just don't see that happening. I think the best agents are the best companies are going to be the ones that do have the human in the seat, but they're giving those AI tools to their advantage, essentially. And I think that's where people that are afraid of AI, they need to understand that it is a tool. It is not a replacement for anything. It's just another tool in our tool belt. And if we think about people, let's say, that are afraid of AI, people were afraid of cars when the first car
Yeah.
was invented, right? I don't if you ever
Yeah,
seen
very
that image,
fair.
it's like the downtown New York, and one year it's all horses and carriages, and then there's the one car parked on the side. And then
Mhm.
exactly one year later, it's all vehicles and one horse. And
Mhm.
that's where we're going with AI. You might be working through 5 or 10 systems today. Next year, you might have one, and it's just your AI
Yeah.
system that is connected to all those others.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see, because, every platform is incorporating AI, you know, every single one of them. So I'm really interested to see kind of how this evolves, how all of the different AI, like all of the different, platforms kind of like merge together, because
Hmm.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting, because I imagine that at some point, if you're a company and you use, like, let's say you have a CRM, you have a dialer, you have, an outbound sequencer, and you have a gamification platform like SalesScreen.
Hmm.
That's four different platforms, right? And I would imagine, I mean, SalesScreen has AI, your CRM definitely is going to be implementing AI, your outbound sequencer, how could you not have AI implemented in that? That seems like the easiest thing, to throw ChatGPT in there. So all of these things are going to have AI elements to them, right? So I'm so curious to see how that's going to evolve, and if those things are going to like merge together, or I think that it's going to be a really interesting time for acquisitions as well, like the next couple of years. Who's going to be
Hmm.
buying the big LLMs and, incorporating them, and like, what's Salesforce going to do, like, I
Yeah.
just there's so much there's so much that can come from it.
Yeah, we recently got on HubSpot platform, which is very similar to Salesforce. It's pretty much
Yep.
a Salesforce competitor. And
Yep.
it is mind-boggling how fast it's evolving. Every week there's something new going on, and they are knee deep in AI research, and they're testing and rolling out new features constantly. And it's
Yeah.
so cool to see the progression. Like, again, I can't even predict where it's going to be, but it's cool to be in this time where we can actually see the change happen.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We use HubSpot. We also use Salesforce. We use them for different things. I remember I started my career in ad tech, and it was, gosh, probably 12 or 13 years ago. Um and HubSpot was still brand new. And just a couple years ago, I went to the HubSpot conference that they have in Boston, and it was my first time going. And I was like, I cannot believe that this tiny little company, this company that I have real memories of like being a tiny company, like startup company, that we were like, do we want to go with them or do we want to go with Marketo or do we want to go with like it was in between like Salesforce and Marketo for us, and we were like, "Oh, maybe this other HubSpot." And then they had this giant, giant, giant conference in Boston where they had who did they have? Oh, they had Huberman was like one of the guest speakers, and John Mulaney did stand up, and they've got like it's like star studded. Like the Obamas went to this thing a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. It's great. I'm like, this is the way that tech moves is just it's
Yeah.
like lightning.
Yeah. And again, for us, we're not in that space. Their use of AI and what they're doing in the tech industry is light years beyond what us as average consumers are using. It's kind of like the
It's true.
military. Like the military all gets the
Yeah.
fun stuff first, and then the users get the regular population gets that cool stuff years later.
Yeah, the military had the internet like 10 years before we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I want to talk to you about obviously we know that AI is gonna really have an impact on specific industries, on all industries, but bigger impacts on some.
Hmm.
But I'm curious to know how you think about AI and like using AI when it comes to, managing your team, and how does AI fit into kind of like your sales performance strategy as as a leader of a team?
Hmm. There's a couple different ways we use it. We use it as a training tool, but also performance management, like you said, where we can quickly analyze how everybody is doing, who's excelling, who's fallen behind, and have that data and analytics right there at our fingertips to be able to course correct quickly. But then we also use the AI to assist with the training and development of even a specific skill. So I love like ChatGPT, how you can create your own GPTs and use the voice,
Mm.
and we can role play specific scenarios, and I can create specific parameters for that agent that they have to achieve these five goals, let's say, before they win the customer over. So we can practice objection role playing and all that stuff with our voice, with AI, which is very similar to doing it with a human, but even the other human that you're interacting with can make mistakes, or
Yeah.
time is of the essence here. They might not have the time to role play. A lot of managers always say they don't have enough time. This is a great tool. Just put it on your phone real quick and say, here you go, practice this for 10 minutes, and it'll tell you if you won or not, and if you didn't win, why not, and what can you use to improve. Like, you can program it with simple prompts to then train your team.
Yeah.
I love little
That
applications like that.
that makes a ton of sense. And also I feel like, to your point about like humans also make mistakes. We've done role plays in the past, and like sometimes you just like want someone to win. And so you're kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'll buy it.
Right.
Like
Well,
I'm
and
the
then you're
worst
like, that
person to
was
role
that
play
was
with.
good, but here's what I would do differently. And the AI
Hmm.
can be like, nope, that wasn't good enough. You didn't do this, 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 and this. And a human can do that too, but it just takes the emotion out of it. It's
Hmm.
it's not about the emotion. It's about the training, right?
Yeah. So do you think that that's kind of the next step is like AI going into more of like a coaching tool for teams? Like, do you feel like that's kind of
It could
where
be. Very
you're
well could
thinking or
be.
where you're moving?
Yeah, I'm already moving there and using it that way. I think there's a lot more we could develop on that end. Maybe not so much for coaching, but training and onboarding an agent into your system. In the past today or yesterday, you bring on a new agent and you put him in front of a computer and they go through training modules. They watch this video and they read this module, and then they complete the task, and that's how they train.
Hmm.
We can take all that data and put it into an AI, a GPT of maybe, and then
Yeah.
it'll teach them everything that was in your module, but it'll customize it to them. They can ask questions, answer questions, and it's just a much more interactive type of training and coaching platform, which
Yeah.
is, again, it's more human than we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I now you got me thinking of things to work on. Thanks.
I'm giving you homework. I mean, I agree. I think it's such a, I think that onboarding is such a great application for AI, like exactly how you're explaining it, because I think that onboarding is something that a lot of people just feel like they don't have time for. I know personally, like when new people start at sales screen, I'm so eager to meet them. I'm so eager, like I want to talk to them. I want to teach them things. I want to
Hmm.
do that stuff, but trying to find time to like really sit and like go through everything, and also I think too, the further you kind of get away from the basics, the harder it becomes for you to like pull the basics out and like teach
Hmm.
someone.
Hmm.
um Having kind of like an AI training module, you're going to go through this, you're going to read through this stuff, you're going to do this type of practical application, you're going to take this test or this quiz or whatever, and having that just kind of all be taken care of for you through AI is such a great option for onboarding.
Think of the experience from the new agent side as well. It's not just sitting there watching videos or reading things.
Yeah,
They're having a conversation and learning on the way. Because all that new person wants to do is get on the phone and start selling. They don't
1,000%.
want to be going through all this. So if we could streamline that process and simplify it and speed it up, great.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
parties are on board.
100%. I totally agree. All right. Last question for you. Did we talk I feel like we get into a call, Ken, and then we're just yapping. And I love that. Uh, I like looked at the time and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we've been talking for 40 minutes."
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, what happened to that? But I want to ask you, for everybody within the insurance industry, or quite frankly, anybody within an industry that's a little maybe behind the times when it comes to technology and adopting
Hmm.
technology,
Hmm.
what kind of advice would you give to those other leaders, to those other sales leaders that are skeptical or hesitant about adopting AI tools, um, to kind of get them a little bit more comfortable and a little bit on board?
Yeah, you have to get started. You have to dive in and start learning the new things that are being developed for us. That's like the computer coming out, and then you're saying, I'm not going to use the computer. I'm going to stick to my files in the filing cabinet and handwrite everything. That doesn't work. And it's not going to work as time evolves in a short amount of time, because every year technology advances faster and faster.
Yeah.
So if you're not on board at least a little bit, trying to learn a little here, a little there, yeah, you're going to fall behind. But again, like, you might just get left behind completely. And if you want to grow your business in any way, shape, or form, you have to get behind the new tech that's coming out. And in this time here in 2025, it's AI. That's
Yeah.
the new tech. Now, what part of AI you use, it doesn't matter. Just find something that interests you, research it, learn about it, dig into it, and start incorporating it into your business, because every business owner wants to maximize the performance, right, of their team, and create a better ROI, increase revenue, all that stuff. This is how you're going to do that. Everybody complains about it's hard to hire people nowadays. You don't need to hire people. You need to empower your people with AI tools so they can be better and produce more today, tomorrow, and then be comfortable with change, because what you embrace today might not be what you're going to be working on tomorrow.
Yeah. it's such a good call out, the idea, like, embracing the change, because especially in industries like the insurance industry where it hasn't really changed in a long time,
Right.
like, there haven't been a
Hmm.
lot of shakeups in this industry. It's yeah, it really is, like, times are changing and you have to be okay with that. You're gonna have to get on board with the fact that they're gonna be different, and they're gonna be different a lot faster than you expect them to be,
Right.
you
And if you're
know?
reluctant to that change, or if you're in denial that it's happening, I mean, somebody's going to come by and put you out of business. I mean, Amazon and Google, they want into the insurance industry. They haven't figured out quite how to do it yet, but they're trying. They've tried. They have those patents out there. It's a matter of time before somebody's sitting on their couch and says, "Hey Alexa, find me some cheaper insurance," and she's going to do it for you. You
Mhm.
got to be able to compete with that. Maybe not compete with Google, but you need to be able to compete in the market with the other independents that are out there.
Yeah.
And AI is key.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and just kinda like to bring it back around, I think, maintaining the human aspect of it is also so important because, you know, the convenience of being able to say, "Hey, Alexa, find me some new insurance," "Find me a new policy," so easy, so convenient, right? Like, how great would that be? But at the same time, it lacks what we were talking about earlier, which is just like the understanding of your problem, the education
Hmm.
of what's going to work
Right.
best for you, which is like it's so integral to the human relationship aspect that
Yep.
can never be replaced.
And like I said earlier, it'll be a retraining or conditioning of the consumer as well. They might think that's great to ask Alexa to buy them some cheaper insurance until they have a claim and they realize Alexa gave them cheaper insurance. They didn't know that she
Yep.
removed important coverage, right?
It
So
you
keep that
know,
human involved at all times.
it's so true. It is so unbelievably true. I mean, and listen, there's always going to be those moments where, even with humans, right? Cuz like we make mistakes too, but yeah, I can see very easily that exact scenario happening. Where
Oh
it's
yeah,
like, I want cheaper insurance. I'm not gonna look into what that new policy is. I'm not gonna read through it. I'm just gonna trust that this new policy is gonna work. And then all of a sudden, your car gets stolen and you don't have and like the protection for theft in your insurance policy for your car is no longer there because that's what made it cheaper, you know?
right. The
So,
potential to do that's already there. People can go to Geico directly and purchase a policy without an insurance agent involved whatsoever.
mm,
But even companies like Geico, they're realizing that's not the best business model because that customer purchased the wrong policy, and now that customer is upset and aggravated and
yeah.
suing Geico.
Yeah.
And so now Geico is realizing it's important to have independent agents involved. Here's our tool, and I mentioned this because they recently came out to independents in our area, so
Oh, okay. Okay.
they're learning how to work with independent agents and realizing that we are a valuable asset. It's kind of funny. It's the AI or the computer is realizing that the human is important. When
Yeah.
here we're talking about how the human needs to realize that the AI is important too.
Yeah.
It's that's funny.
I mean, it's such a symbiotic relationship. I think and this is what it's like in throughout history all of the time, right? The pendulum swings. The pendulum is always swinging too far to
Hmm.
the right or to the left, and there's
Hmm.
a brief moment in time where it kind of lands and, where it hits the middle and it's working and everything's good, but then it goes off swinging again. And so, going to the car theory, right? Like, at first it was like, "What is this?" And then cars came out like gangbusters, and now we're trying to figure out like, okay, well, how do we undo all of the damage that cars are doing, right? Like there's so much of an impact and, that's taken us when did the first car come out, Ken? Gosh, a long time ago. It's been a really long time.
Yep.
But to your point, like technology is just moving so much faster. We're going to get to the opposite side of the pendulum so much quicker.
Yeah. And it was easier to accept change back in the day because it was so slow.
Yeah, so
It
gradual.
happened over an extended period of time. Again, what we think might be possible 5 years from now could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like the rate of change is so substantial right now. It's can't comprehend it. Just can't.
Yeah, it's crazy. I totally agree. Okay, final sign off before we say
Okay.
goodbye. What's your number one AI recommendation tool? And you don't have to say Scout. You don't have to say Sales Screen Scout AI. Yeah, I'll let you off. I know that's what you were gonna say. You don't have to say that. But what would be your like number one recommended tool, AI tool?
All right. I won't say Scout. It's simple as just ChatGPT. There's so many people out there that
Easy.
don't even have a ChatGPT account. Go get a paid ChatGPT account. Don't use the free one because that's all public domain.
Hmm.
Pay for a paid version of ChatGPT and play with it.
Hmm.
If you don't know how to play with it, ask it to teach you how to play with it and start there. And then the sky's the limit.
I totally agree. I love my ChatGPT. I love my ChatGPT. Me and my ChatGPT are best friends, but I totally agree. I think, yeah, people just need to kind of get used to it and used to interfacing with it and figuring it out because it's coming. AI is coming for us. Can't we
Yep.
can't escape it.
It it's already here.
Yeah, exactly. It's already here.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ken. As always, this was a super fun conversation. I always really enjoy chatting with you, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for having me.
we'll get you on. We'll get you on another episode. Maybe. Well, we'll have to think about it. We'll have to like brainstorm, but we'll get you on another episode soon, I'm
We
sure.
should come back in a year or so and reflect on this conversation, how things have
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to do a follow-up to this one when like
Right.
the AI overlords have like completely taken over and it's just like
Our AI
War of the Worlds
avatars will
one.
have that conversation for us, and we'll just
Oh
watch
man,
them do it.
that would be I actually kind of would love that. I think that would be amazing. A little AI Britney. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ken. You have a great rest of your day and we'll
Too.
chat soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye bye.